1941, in the city of Calcutta, a man died. His mortal remains perished, but he left behind him a heritage which no fire could consume. It is a heritage of words and music and poetry, of ideas and of ideals, and it has the power to move us, to inspire us, today and in the days to come. We, who owe him so much, salute his... At the age of 7, Robbie was sent to school.
See a box. তুমি কি একটি বাক্স দেখিতে পাইতেছ? Yes, I can see a box. হ্যাঁ, আমি একটি বাক্স দেখিতে পাইতেছি.
Robbie went to 4 schools and hated them all. But to say that he lacked education would be wrong. For his third brother Hemendranath saw to his studies at home. Robbie set out for England in the summer of 1878. If the plan was to provide the boy with a proper education, it came to naught. For Robbie returned without completing his course of studies at the London University. Some of the tunes he had learned found their way into his enchanting opera, Valmiki Pratibha.
প্রভাতে রবির কর কেমনে পশিল প্রাণের উপর কেমনে পশিল গুহার আধারে প্রভাত পাখির গান না জানি কেন রে এতদিন পরে জাগিয়া উঠিল প্রাণ।
At the age of 22, Rabindranath married Bhavatarini Devi. The old-fashioned name was later changed to Mrinalini. Living mostly in his boat and watching life through the window, a whole new world of sights and sounds and feelings opened up before him. In 1901, Rabindranath was 40 years old. His already enormous output of poems and plays had been gathered in one big volume. It comprised 21 books and included Shonartori, his first masterpiece.
ঠাই নাই ছোট সে তরি আমারই সোনার ধানে গিয়েছে ভরি শ্রাবণ গগন ঘিরে ঘন মেঘ ঘুরে ফিরে শূন্য নদীর তীরে রহিনু পড়ি যাহা ছিল নিয়ে গেল সোনার তরি.
Rabindranath had been worrying about the education of his children and had decided to start an experimental educational institution in Shantiniketan. It was to be a school, but not like the schools that had been the nightmare of his own childhood. It was to be like the forest hermitages of classical India. But to bring it into being was not an easy task. For one thing, it cost money. Rabindranath was obliged to sell, among other things, the copyright of his books. His wife added her bit by selling her wedding ornaments. 2 months after the school was opened, she was taken ill. 3 months later, at the age of 29, she died. For Rabindranath, it was the beginning of a series of personal tragedies. His second daughter, Renuka, passed away. The hardest blow of all came 4 years later. Youngest son, Rabindra, took after his father in many ways. He was only 13 when he fell a victim to cholera.
পূর্ণ তীর্থে জাগরে ধীরে এই ভারতের মহামানবের সাগর তীরে হেতায় দাঁড়ায় দুবাহু বাড়ায় নমি নর দেবতারে উদার ছন্দে পরমানন্দে বন্দন করি তারে। তাই তো তোমায় সুধাই অশ্রু জলে যাহারা তোমার বিষাইছে বায়ু নেভাইছে তব আলো, তুমি কি তাদের ক্ষমা করিয়াছ? তুমি কি বেসেছ ভালো?
হাতে লাঠি, মাথায় ঝাঁকড়া চুল, কানে তাদের গোঁজা জবার ফুল। আমি বলি, দাঁড়া, খাবারদার, এক পা কাছে আসিস যদি আর, এই চেয়ে দেখ আমার তলোয়ার, টুকরো করে দেব তোদের সেরে। শুনে তারা লম্ফ দিয়ে উঠে চেঁচিয়ে উঠল, হারে রে রে রে।
Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls.
Daradim, 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 dara, daradim, 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 dara, tadare, dani, dani. সুখহীন নিশিদিন পরাধীন হয়ে ভ্রমিছ দিন প্রাণ নিদ চরণমূলে বাজে করুণ সুরে। Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will play with mine.
কতবার ভেবেছিল আপনা ভুলিয়া তোমার চরণে দিব হৃদয় খুলিয়া।
আমি চিনি গো চিনি তোমারে, ও গো বিদেশিনী। ধরিতে বিয়োগ আমারে নিও না, নিও না সরায়।
The object of Rabindranath's visit to England in 1912 was to study the educational methods of the West and also to acquaint the West with his own work at Shantiniketan. He happened to carry with him on this occasion a notebook containing his own English translations of some of his songs, mainly from Gitanjali. He showed these translations to the English painter William Rothenstein, who had met him on an earlier visit to India. Rothenstein was so impressed that he sent a copy of the translation to the well-known Irish poet Yeats. In introducing the poems to a gathering of English writers and intellectuals, Yeats said, "I know of no man in my time who has done anything in the English language to equal these lyrics." Gitanjali was published in England in the same year. The Nobel Prize came in 1913 and the knighthood in 1915. At 4 o'clock in the morning of May the 30th, Rabindranath finished writing a letter. It was addressed to the Viceroy. Condemning the government for the killing in the Punjab, Rabindranath ended by saying, "And I, for my part, wish to stand shorn of all special distinctions by the side of my countrymen, who, for their so-called insignificance, are liable to suffer degradation not fit for human beings. And these are the reasons which have painfully compelled me to ask your Excellency to relieve me of my title of knighthood." The next 10 years of Rabindranath's life were filled with ceaseless activity. The urge to travel and the necessity to collect funds for his university took him to all parts of the world. And the West, as much as the East, welcomed him with open arms.
আমি যে তাহার পরশ পাবার প্রয়াস।
Rabindranath had found a new outlet for his creative urge. It was astonishing the way it started.
তুমি কি কেবলই ছবি শুধু পটে লেখা, ওই যে সুদূর নিহারিকা যারা করে আছে ভিড় আকাশের নীল, ওই যারা দিন রাত্রি আলো হাতে চলিয়াছে আধারের যাত্রী।
On the 7th of May, 1941, Rabindranath was 8 years old. 3 months later, he would be taken to his ancestral house in Calcutta, fatally ill. He was to leave Shantiniketan, never to return.
বলবীর বল উন্নত মম শির, শির নেহারি আমারি নত শির ওই শিখর হিমাদ্রির। বলবীর বল মহাবিশ্বের মহাকাশ ফাড়ি, চন্দ্র সূর্য গ্রহ তারা ছাড়ি, পুলক তুলক গোলক।
Kerulia village in Burdwan district of West Bengal. Here, Najrul Islam was born on the 24th of May 1899. He was the second of 3 sons and 1 daughter of Qazi Fakir Ahmad and Eda Khatun. After preliminary learning, Najrul joined the Sirsur Raj High School, where he was granted free studentship and free lodging by the local landlord. As a brilliant student, he got double promotion from class 8 to class 10. But as he lost his father at the age of 15 and the family was reduced to abject poverty, Najrul had to look for a job for the family's subsistence. He left school and joined the 49th Bengali Regiment with a patriotic motive that military training would someday come useful in the fight for the country's liberation. That was 1914 and the world was plunged into war. As Najrul was born in the lap of muses, he continued to write poetry even in the midst of war and mailed them to Bangiya Musalman Sahitya Patrika, Calcutta, in which his first poem, Mukti, was published in 1919. The 49th Bengali Regiment was disbanded in March 1920 and Najrul returned to Calcutta. That was the time of non-cooperation and the Khilafat movement. The political unrest dragged Najrul into its fold. He came very close to veteran communist leader Muzaffar Ahmad, on whose advice Najrul decided to stay in Calcutta and to pursue his literary career. Thus began the most fruitful chapter of Qazi Najrul Islam at the age of 21. Poems, songs, ballads, stories, novels and essays started pouring from his powerful pen in quick succession. Soon he emerged as a prolific writer. Najrul also associated himself in political journalism. He started editing A.K. Fazlul Huq's Nawajug, planned and published Dhumketu, and wrote many inspiring articles in Langol and Gonabani and Kallol, a magazine of the avant-garde writers of those days. In each of his articles, Najrul aspired to inflame the popular passion with grim seriousness. In 1923, he was arrested for writing a provocative poem, Anandamoyir Agumane, a direct attack on the British rule. He was sentenced to 1 year's imprisonment and locked up in Hooghly jail. Tagore sent a telegram, "Give up the hunger strike. Our literature claims you." Tremendous public pressure compelled him to break his fast of 39 days. The propagator of communal harmony, Najrul himself married a Hindu woman, Pramila Sen Gupta, on the 24th of April 1924. They had 3 sons, Bulbul, Shoboshachi and Aniruddha. Unfortunately, Bulbul died at an early age.
দুর্গমগিরি কান্তার মরু দুস্তর পারাবার লঙ্ঘিতে হবে রাত্রি নিশীথে যাত্রীরা হুঁশিয়ার দুলিতেছে তরি ফুলিতেছে জল ভুলিতেছে মাঝি পথ ছেড়িয়াছে পাল কে ধরিবে হাল আছে
As at heart he was secular, so Najrul could write with the same passion about Goddess Kali and Islam. He composed more than 3,000 songs, introduced several new programs for radio, and also composed music for plays and films. Najrul's songs, like his poems, equally moved the intellectuals and the common man. So he can truly be called the people's poet.
ফুলেরো জলসায় নীরব কেন কবি ভোরেরো হাওয়ায় কান্না পাওয়ায় ভোরেরো হাওয়ায়.
This is the house in Calcutta where Qazi Nazrul Islam spent his last days, without writing any creative line and speaking any word for many years.
ছবি নীরব কেন কবি ফুলেরো জলসায় নীরব কেন কবি.
After the birth of Bangladesh, Najrul was cordially taken to Dhaka by the government of the new nation. He was declared the national poet of Bangladesh. At Dhaka, he suddenly became seriously ill and breathed his last on the 29th of August 1976. Thus ended the life of an uncompromising rebel poet.
স্মরণে আসে মোরে